A video recently went viral on TikTok about a live-in nanny from the Philippines named Elena, who came to the United States and ended up working as a live-in domestic worker for a family. And during this time, she never once went back to her country for over 30 years. She was instructed by an immigration lawyer that she could not return home and that her kids could not visit. So we're going to take a look at this video to see what happened and talk about how this woman or any other person in this situation might possibly be eligible for a green card based upon their circumstances. So let's take a look.
Real legend of the family. Elena, she lived with my family for about 30 years, and about 6 months ago, she decided it was time for her to move back to the Philippines. She got me ready for my first day of preschool, moved me into my college dorm and everything in between, so taking her back to the Philippines was something I could not have wanted to do more.
You're going to the Philippines?
Yes, I'm going to the Philippines. It had been over 30 years since Nanny had last been to the Philippines. She sacrificed raising her son and daughter to get a job in America and send every dollar she could back home to her family.
Okay, so she says that she sacrificed everything she could to come here and that she even forewent raising her son and daughter just so she could live here and have a job and send back home every single dollar that she earned. But let me tell you about something. When you're working for an employer as a live-in nanny, frequently the lines get really blurred about how you're supposed to work, about when you're supposed to work, about how much work you're supposed to do. In my opinion, most likely this nanny, just like lots of other domestic servants that we have worked with, was essentially a servant and not just a nanny. And frequently what happens, especially when there's no division between the home and the workplace, the employer starts demanding more and more and expects work to be done whenever they're awake and at all hours of the night. So the live-in servant doesn't even have free time of their own, and because they become so reliant upon everything, they don't have a home of their own to go to, they frequently don't have access to their own car or to other outside means of communication or transportation, they become very reliant on the host family. Let's keep watching.
We had a tearful goodbye to America. She thanked it for everything it had brought to her. I cursed it for not letting her stay forever. We held hands the majority of the flight.
This is something that really bothers me. I know that this young lady was sad to see her nanny go, and she says here, I cursed America for not letting her stay longer. Well, honestly, that's what happens in these strange dynamics when you have a live-in servant raising kids. There becomes like this weird sort of emotional attachment, and guilt also plays into this a lot. And one of the reasons why Elena may actually have decided to live with this family or felt compelled to live with this family instead of getting a job outside the house, instead of going and seeking employment elsewhere like so many other immigrants do, is because most likely the family may have used guilt, pressures, and other tactics of manipulation to make her feel compelled to stay and take care of this child. And what I've seen with my clients who are domestic servants, who are nannies, who are in a trafficking situation, is that they know that they're not being treated well. They know that they are not really free to leave, and they feel that they will get in trouble if they leave. But also, they love the kids so much that this frequently becomes a tool that the employer can use to pressure them to stay, to tell them that they would be doing the wrong thing by leaving. So let's keep watching some more.
We held hands the majority of the flight, and before I knew it, we were in the Philippines. All sorts of things were going through my head at this point. Will Nanny's family take good care of her? Will they resent me? How will she fit in? Will she be homesick for America? I was so anxious, I cannot even tell you.
Oh my God, the sounds of those wailings and sobbing of her family upon seeing her. She has a son and a daughter that she hasn't seen. She left her kids at a young age. She felt like she just couldn't leave. So let's talk about what probably really happened in this nanny's life. In my opinion, this nanny could very well have been a victim of trafficking, and trafficking in the immigration law context basically means when a person is compelled to do work through the use of some sort of force or fraud or fear. Now, I understand that an immigration lawyer told her that she couldn't leave, but just imagine this for 1 second. Most likely, the immigration lawyer was paid for, the consultation was procured and paid for by her host family, and The host family, upon hearing this, probably discouraged her from seeking other legal consultations, from finding out other options. Because when people come here, there can usually be lots of different ways of getting sponsorship. There can be lots of different ways of getting a green card. If she came 30 years ago, she was probably working for this family during that time period that the Section 245I adjustment of status was enacted, and her employer probably could have filed for a labor certification for her, and she could have been able to get a green card possibly through that manner or some sort of work visa. Now, it may be easy to blame it all on the immigration system and say that she just had no options, but I really want you to consider this. Do you feel like it's normal for 30 years to be working for the same family? This child that she was taking care of is basically an adult and she's still living there. She never ventures outside to get a job outside. What I have seen happen in many cases is that many times the employer will then take that knowledge, right? They'll hear from this lawyer that, okay, you can't leave the country, otherwise you can't come back. And they will use that in a way to scare the employee into saying, look, you see what's going to happen if you don't continue working for me. If you don't do this, you'll get in trouble. You might get deported. You might get arrested. And of course, that is going to instill fear in her and make her feel even more obligated to stay working for this same family. And if you're working that hard that you have to send back every dollar, yet you're not paying rent and you're living off of the groceries in this family because you're a domestic servant and you're living there all the time, how much money was she actually being paid that she had to scrape by so hard to send it back to her family overseas? A dollar goes a long way in the Philippines, so I really want you to consider that as well. My guess is that there were a lot of other things that she may have been subjected to, but because she didn't really know any better and she probably felt powerless to help herself in her situation, and powerless because maybe the one lawyer she spoke to was at the behest of her employer, and the employer then in turn used that in a way to discourage her from seeking other legal options. There may have been a lot of things that probably qualified her to get a trafficking visa, and the sad story is that there are a lot of other people in the US, a lot of other undocumented immigrants that are in very similar situations. We have cases where clients were living with the host family or with the employer and told that they had to pay rent, that things would be deducted from their paycheck, and that they couldn't go outside. They had to be available at 6 a.m., at 9 p.m., even if they're asleep. No days off, no sick days, nothing like that. And on top of that, there's a lot of fear used. There's a lot of coercion used through psychological tactics that makes people feel that they will get in trouble if they don't do what the employer says and they don't continue working for them. So if you know anyone in this situation, or if you are in the situation, or you have ever been in the situation in the past, the good news and the silver lining in this dark cloud is that you may actually be eligible to apply for a T visa and get a green card on your own so that you can finally go see your family and be safe and enjoy the opportunities you actually came to this country for. If you want my help navigating your immigration case, give us a call at 212-248-7907 to schedule a case evaluation. I'll continue to make videos sharing my knowledge, so if you found this useful, please share my videos with your friends and please give me a subscribe. Click here to watch this video next, and I'll see you there.